and God said, "Let there be a green screen." I hope this flannel is dark enough that it doesn't blend in with the background, but I guess we'll see. So folks, we're in for a treat today. I read Fallen Under and the sequel, Dreaming Awake, and they were a lot of fun. They were bad, but they were bad in a very, very fun way. I'm glad that I didn't do a very brief summary on this series, because I don't think you need to know the entire plot of these books. In fact, I think that might detract from it a little bit. I think these are best enjoyed just hearing about all the weird little plot bits that happen, and then you just kind of fill in the blanks on your own. Because honestly, outside of the weird, funny plot bits, there's not a whole lot to say about these books. Like, there's parts of them that I think are genuinely good, and there's parts of them that I think are genuinely bad, but not in a way that stands out that much. So I just think the weird, funny bits are the best. Falling Under is about a totally normal teen girl named Tia, or Thea. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Tia, but it might be Thea, I don't know. And she starts seeing a guy named Hayden Black in her dreams. It's kind of nice for the two leads to have mostly normal names for once. However, Tia also sees Hayden Black out in the real world, and he acts completely differently in the real world, because it turns out he's a demon, or rather, he's half demon. His demon half is the mean one, and the nice one that actually likes Tia is his human half. They're kind of separate entities, but also kind of the same person. It's never really explored or explained, so I'm not sure what to do with that. And from there, things get kind of odd. Just a little odd, though, because this book series overall, it's not the craziest thing ever. It's, for the most part, just a pretty standard paranormal young adult romance from the early 2010s, but it has just enough strangeness that it stands out, and it's funny. You know, for example, one of the major characters in these books is a 19-year-old cross-dressing surfer dude who works as a fortune teller named Madame Varney. That's one of the characters here. Or how Hayden keeps calling Tia a trollop as a term of endearment. Like, I didn't even know what that word meant. I had to look it up. Apparently it's just an old-timey British way of calling someone a slut, but like it's romantic or something when he does it. The ending of the series does not actually resolve the conflict. Everyone just kind of shrugs and says, alright, I guess the story's over now. One of my favorite weird parts is this scene in the first book where Hayden loses control of his demon powers, and he makes all the bells at their school go off, except it's really loud, so everyone has to evacuate, and then they can't figure out how to turn the bells off, so they just bring in a SWAT team, and the SWAT team shoots all the bells with a high-powered rifle.
Well, the condition of most men, but the
I must break you.
If you want a short, funny bad book series to read, then Falling Under by Gwen Hayes is, I can recommend it. It's a fun one. It's only 2 books long. Each of the books is only a little over 300 pages, so it's not that long. It won't take you that long to get through. Hell, if I had focused and locked in a bit more, I could probably have read both of these in less than a week. And I do just want to say that it's kind of nice that the titles aren't just one single generic word. You know, it wouldn't shock me if the publisher tried to get the author to change the name to something like Sleep, or Demon Blood, or Heavenly, or, you know, some shit like that. Falling Under and Dreaming Awake are a little bit better. They stand out a bit more. They make me think of emo music from the early 2000s. You know, like Falling Under sounds like Going Under by Evanescence, and Dreaming Awake sounds like Sleeping Awake by P.O.D. Okay, I guess I should explain the plot now, so spoilers ahead if anyone cares. But before that, let's have a word from this video's sponsor, Bellesa. Life is stressful. At the end of a long day, you want to burn off some of that stress, and a great way to do that is with a nice massage. You know, something that'll relieve the tension from your muscles and your mind. Some people can massage away the stress with the help of a friend, or 2, or 3, but the rest of us aren't so lucky. That's where Bellesa comes in. Bellesa is a by-women company that's here to promote wellness by empowering everyone to embrace and celebrate their manner of stress relief. Their products are shaped to fit comfortably into your hands so you can reach and massage yourself anywhere you might have some stress building up. And I do mean anywhere. They have discreet charging cases so you don't have to worry about anyone finding out that you like to massage yourself. Some people might find that embarrassing. I say share it with the world. It's delivered in discreet packaging too, so your neighbors won't suspect a thing.
Disclaimer, Bellesa is not responsible for nosy neighbors. Please take care to secure your home and belongings.
Bellesa might be run by women, but they have a whole host of massage toys. They've got a whole slew of products for everyone, of all genders.
The Air Vibe has dual stimulation, so you can massage 2 spots at once. And it's waterproof. That might be useful for some of you. The cute case might make it look, well, cute, but don't let that fool you. This thing packs a punch. Then there's the Thump. Look at how portable and easy to carry around it is. This vibrates, thumps, and has suction. It even utilizes Bellesa's improved pleasure jet technology. That sounds really cool, and I bet it feels great wherever you use it. And this one is also waterproof. That's great. It makes washing it easier after use, which you should always do. Wash your massagers after using them. Don't be nasty. All this and more is available on their website. My friends over there are literally giving out free toys or gift cards. Literally. That's not a lie or a joke. If you sign up using my link, you'll get something for free. Hurry up and go click on the link in the description and in the pinned comment. Okay, I guess I'll let the rest of the video continue, but you should still click the link and check out what Bellesa has to offer.
Holy shit! Are you alright? Yeah. Why did you jump out? Okay. Holy shit!
Tia is a teenage girl living in a small town in California. Tia is an outcast because she's from London and people make fun of her accent. Which is kind of dumb. Americans, for whatever reason, really like people with foreign accents, especially British ones. Like, the only way people would make fun of her for her accent is if she was from East London. And once I thought that, I just imagined her entire narration being read in an East London accent, and that made me laugh a lot. Aiden, I love you more than the air I breathe, mate. Like, okay, I'm not going to do that accent anymore. It's terrible. But the point is, it would have been really funny if Tia talked like that. She has a dream one night where she sees a man fall from the sky and burn up. And then later she starts having dreams where she meets up with that man and he's really charming. He dresses like a 19th century British aristocrat. I guess she just is into that. And Tia is an outcast at school, but one thing I kind of liked about these books is that while she's an outcast, she still has friends, and it's not like she's really bullied or anything. She's just, yeah, she's kind of an outcast and kind of outside the popular social circles. Tia's friends are named Amelia and Donatella, which is Donnie for short. Donnie is a trollop, and Amelia is psychic. She's also Korean, and she's adopted by white people, and that gives her identity issues, but we never really go into those issues, so I guess we can just ignore them. My grandma is Japanese, and she got adopted by white people in America, so I kind of understand where Amelia is coming from when she says that she feels separate from her family in a weird way, and it would have been kind of nice for the books to explore that a little, but if nothing else, they do at least acknowledge that she has those issues. When they're at school, Tia mentions that she usually trades her food to her friends for cafeteria food, because according to her, that's the only time she gets to eat greasy American food. And I just gotta say, cafeteria food at public schools is not greasy American food. I like greasy American food. Cafeteria food is sawdust with some paint on it, man. Speaking of the popular girls at their school, Tia and her friends don't like them. They call them the Sneeches. Which, you know, like those weird racist guys from that Dr. Seuss book where some of them had a star on their belly and some of them didn't? Yeah, that's what they call the popular girls. And to show how awful the Sneeches are, some of them get breast implants. I'm not making that up. AIM disagreed. It certainly makes their boobs special. Noelle is in my PE class. 2 weeks ago, her girls were B students. They look like C+ at least now. Donnie snorted. Oh my god, you're right. What kind of parents pays for a boob job for a 17-year-old? Mine won't even pay for highlights. My barely B's tightened at the thought of going under the knife. Not even to get Hayden's attention when I do that. If that was what he wanted, tears stung my eyes. If that was really what he wanted, my heart was breaking. Okay, that's a bit of an odd passage, but okay. So Tia actually meets Hayden, the boy from her dream, at school. But he's kind of aloof, and he doesn't seem to care about Tia all that much, but she also thinks that he's super hot, and she's totally into him for some reason. Tia, Amelia, and Donnie all go to a fortune teller named Madame Varney. He's the one I mentioned earlier. He's a 19-year-old cross-dressing surfer dude, and no one ever cards him, so he's able to buy beer, and he drinks a lot of it, and he's actually psychic. Like, he's not a charlatan. He actually is a psychic person. He spent 18 months in a mental hospital until he pretended that visions he was having were fake. And that whole backstory raises a lot of questions about this world and the nature of this world and how all of this works. We get barely any information about it in book 1. We get a little bit more info in book 2, but we still have no idea what's going on here. Anyways, he tells Tia's fortune and he pulls the death card 3 times out of the tarot deck, and then he's like, wow, that's weird, and gives no further advice. Even though he knows his powers are real, he doesn't say anything to her other than, oh, that's kind of weird. Around this time, we start to get confirmation that Amelia does have strong psychic/magical powers, which does become important later on. Tia continues being obsessed with Hayden, and she spends a lot of time with him in her dreams. He's out of my league. I can't get a handle on the guy. Sometimes he seems so into you, and other times he's sort of the Antichrist. That about sums him up, I agreed, joining her. We got to the stairs and she stopped me. How do you feel about him? That's the important thing. I shrugged. Up is down, down is up. And that means I'm probably half in love with a boy I don't really like. But then on the next page, we have this. I have to admit, the trollop dress was becoming, but I find your virginal nightgown pushes the blood through my veins with greater force. Hayden, what? Like, what? Okay, if he always talked like that, that'd be one thing, because, you know, he hasn't been on Earth very long. He learned to talk in the demon realm. Maybe demons just talk like that. But for the most part, he talks like a normal 17-year-old boy. It's just once in a while he has a line like that, and it's very strange. At one point, Hayden sees Tia with another guy, and he gets so mad that he loses control of his powers, and like I said earlier, it makes all the bells in their school go off, but they're so loud that people start, like, running out and trampling each other to escape, and kids on the higher floors break windows and jump out because the bells are just that loud, and then they have to bring in a SWAT team to shoot the bells. Okay. Side note, I do kind of like that a lot of the characters in these books swear. You know, like some young adult books have teenage main characters, but they all talk like their parents are actively listening in on their conversations. So having the kids swear a bit and say the occasional shit or fuck is just kind of nice. It gives it a little bit of realism. And it would be easy to go overboard and have them swear too much so it becomes annoying, but in this, it fits, you know? It's just a small detail, but I liked it. So, at some point during all this, Tia learns that Hayden is half demon. His father was a human and he died a long, long time ago. His mother is named Mara, and she is some sort of demon queen and also a succubus type thing. I don't know, there's different types of demons, but we never really go into detail about what they're all like and how they all work. There's a throwaway line about how vampires are a type of demon, and they procreate by turning humans into vampires, but we never actually see any vampires. Hayden is actually 170 years old, but time works differently in Under. Like, the demon realm is just called Under with a capital U, and he's been alive for 170 years in Under, but for every 10 years that passes in Under, only 1 year passes on Earth, so in Earth years he's only 17. Okay. Hayden and other demons have something which they call the lure, which they use to draw in humans. Basically, when they use the lure, humans find them irresistible and super sexy, you know, that sort of thing. And Bella is actually immune to his mind reading. I'm sorry, Tia is actually immune to Hayden's lure. I'm sorry, I don't know how I could possibly get those two mixed up. Hayden was actually supposed to come to Earth so that he could find a wife and then, you know, marry her and start having children and stuff. And he was supposed to just kidnap Tia, but he couldn't do it. And at first he was thinking maybe he could just get her to come with him willingly, but then he decides, no, I'm not gonna bring you to Under with me, I just wanna go back home. Tia tells her friends Donnie and Amelia about Hayden being a demon, so they try to make an amulet to protect her, and Amelia just knows this, and like I said, she has some psychic/magic powers, so they just focus all their energy on an amulet that Tia got from her mother, who is dead, and then it becomes a protective amulet. And then there's this line. He carried on as if he hadn't heard me. This isn't a crush, it's an obsession. You are never not in my thoughts. Your scent carries across a room and paralyzes me with longing. I don't want to hold your hand. Part of me wants to set you on fire and hold you while the flame consumes us both. To eat your heart so I know only I possess it entirely. Are you scared now? Does your human mind comprehend the danger at last? I'm not you. I'm not human. Not completely, anyway. What? You know, Hayden should really have some demon features, at least for part of the books. You know, have him have wings or horns or something. You know, be a real monster fucker. Anyways, like I said, Hayden realizes that he can't be with Tia. He doesn't want to put her in danger, so he goes back to Under, the demon realm. But Tia says that she loves him, and she tries to see him again in her dreams, but it doesn't work, so she thinks that if she overdoses on a bunch of sleeping pills, she'll be able to see him again.
But why?
And her dad finds her pretty quickly, and he thinks that she attempted suicide, actually. And so, in order to cheer her up, he gives her this... They have a really long and weird conversation. Basically, Tia's mom died while giving birth to her, and she knew when she got pregnant that the odds of her dying as a result of this were pretty high because she was already very sickly and she only had one kidney. And her dad is straight up resentful to Tia for killing her mom, quote, killing her mom when she was born. And again, he just straight up says all this. It's described in a long monologue. So let's review real quick. This guy thinks that his daughter attempted suicide, and then he tells her that he is resentful to her for existing because she took away a woman that he really loved, and then he proceeds to get her no further mental or medical help. Fucking Father of the Year, let me tell you.
Shoot that guy.
Anyways, right after that, a portal to Under opens in Tia's bedroom, and Hayden's mom just kidnaps her and drags her to the demon realm. It happens just as abruptly in the book. Hayden's mom is named Mara, remember, and Mara tells Tia that she wants her to marry Hayden and have children because Hayden is her heir, and one day he'll rule Under, even though Mara is supposed to be immortal and she has just always ruled Under, and she is supposed to always rule it, but okay, whatever. Why not just have another child? Why not just kill Hayden's human half if you're worried that his human half is, you know, making him weak and, I don't know, emotional, I guess? But, I don't know, whatever. Mara also keeps referring to Tia as Pussycat, which made me picture her as Tom Jones a couple of times. But after a little bit, Tia realizes that Hayden is suffering a lot while being here, so she makes a deal with Mara that she will never try to escape Under, and she takes some of Mara's blood into herself. It doesn't turn her into a demon, but it infects her with some demon traits, which we'll go into more in Book 2. And now her and Hayden are kind of siblings. No one mentions this, but they are kind of siblings. And then, as part of the deal, Hayden gets to go to Earth. But he only has one body, and his soul is split into, you know, the human half and the demon half, and the demon half goes into his body. It goes up to Earth. His human half stays in Under, except he's in sort of an incorporeal ghost form thing, and no one can see him or hear him. We don't know exactly how much time passes on Earth like this, like while Tia is stuck down in Under, but it's at least a couple of weeks, so it would have to be around a year, maybe a little bit less than a year, that Tia is down in Under. Eventually, Amelia, Varney, and Donnie realize what happened, and they trap Hayden's demon half in an amulet, and his human soul goes back into his body. Varney has actually studied magic stuff a little bit, but generally, he just has no idea what he's doing, and he's just winging it, which I did kind of like. It was amusing, and it did lead to actual problems for the characters, so I liked that. And Amelia, same thing. She's a lot stronger than him, but she also has no idea what she's doing. Now, somehow, Hayden is able to use his demon half being stuck in the amulet to fall back Under and then abduct Tia from his mother's castle. Because Tia took an oath not to try to escape, but she's being kidnapped, please note the air quotes around that, so now she's not breaking her oath. And then they go back home, and apparently Tia loses a lot of her memories of her time in Under, so there's around a year of her life which is just gone. Sort of. She vaguely references events from that time a couple points in Book 2, but not really. And then the first book just ends right there. I feel like most books of this type would have been a trilogy, and the first book would have ended when Tia got stuck in Under, and then Book 2 would be about her taking forever to try and escape, and then Book 3 would be the big final confrontation. But this isn't a trilogy. The author condensed a few things, and I don't know, I kind of like that. So now we go to Book 2, Dreaming Awake. I'll be honest with you, this series does not have a super focused plot. The second book can largely be summed up by saying Mara, the Queen of Demons, is after the heroes and they have to find a way to fight her, and that's kind of it. there's not really any subplots or any sort of meanwhile this is happening or anything like that. It's just sort of, yeah, this is what they're doing. So Tia, like I said, is not technically a demon, but she has demon traits from taking on Mara's blood. Now she feels temptation to eat people's souls, and she worries that she's losing her humanity. This doesn't really go anywhere. There's one scene where it's brought up later on, and that scene works okay, but it's never really explored. There's also a mysterious illness that's popping up all around town. Hayden and Tia are in love, but an obstacle arises in their love. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But for the most part, they're just going to school like normal, which made me wonder, where does Hayden live? Because, okay, again, he's not from Earth. He's from the demon realm. He just came here for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and maybe in the first book his mother was helping him, she gave him money and a place to live, maybe. But in this one, she's not helping him. So where does he live? He's 17. He doesn't have any sort of education or job or anything. Where does he live? How does he eat? While Tia is at school, she gets a note from someone. She doesn't see who leaves it for her, but it says that she's in danger. And then she has some more demon dreams. She dreams that she's in a garden, which is being tended to by some of Mara's demon slaves, but instead of plants, they're watering bones. Ah, that's crazy. There's a guy named Mike at their school that Tia's friend Amelia has a huge crush on, and Tia spends a little bit of time with him, speaks with him a little bit, because we need a love rectangle. And Mike, says that Tia has very pretty wrists. Okay. Look, I've been down bad for girls before, and I've noticed, features about them that I think are attractive that you wouldn't normally look at. I don't know if I've ever thought a girl had pretty wrists, but maybe that's just me. But Hayden sees her with Mike, and now he's super angry and jealous. And tying into his jealousy, there's no easy way to put this, but Tia is a virgin, and apparently if Hayden takes her virginity, he will lose his human half and he'll turn just fully demon, even if it's consensual. And these books do clarify that most of the time when demons and humans have sexual relations, it's not consensual, but even if it was, he would just turn into a full demon, which is a weird thing to bring up. And also Hayden gets very angry even at the idea of Tia losing her virginity to someone else, so they're just at an impasse now. Donnie patted me knowingly. If a demon pops a virgin's cherry, what happens? I sat up and pinched the bridge of my nose. Hayden crosses through some ritualistic rite of passage into demon manhood. He'll lose his humanity. It's very bad. I don't know why shitty paranormal romance insists on using virginity as a plot point so often. I don't know why that keeps coming up. Anyways, Tia's dad is also dating Mara now. While Tia was missing for a couple of weeks, he apparently met her and she comforted him. And so now her dad and Hayden's mom are dating, and her and Hayden are also dating. Last year I read a book series called The Sirena Legacy, and in that book series there was also some sort of incest kind of like this. And it's just weird when no one even mentions it. Tia and Hayden are kind of blood siblings because of the demon ritual thing, but now they're also kind of step-siblings. Look, Tia, just don't get stuck in any washing machines, okay? Hayden finally explains a little bit about how Under works. Basically, there are a lot of different realms, Mara's realm is just one of them, and none of the realms are good or evil to start. They get warped by their inhabitants. In other words, Mara ruling Under is what made it evil. And that does become important at the very end, but we just don't explore it very much. That's something that happens in these books a lot. So Hayden, Mara, Tia, and Tia's dad all go on a double date, and Tia's dad does not know that Mara is Hayden's mom, just to clarify, and they all go bowling. And while they're bowling, Mara makes bowling balls appear to be made of flesh, and people scream, and it starts a panic, and then there's an explosion, and during all the chaos, Mara kisses Tia's dad, and then she vanishes, and her dad falls into a coma and has to be hospitalized.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Hayden and Tia are kind of sort of broken up at this point, and there's a rumor going around that Hayden might have had sex with Brittany, who is one of the Sneetches, the popular kids, and Tia is upset, and she doesn't try talking to him at all, and I'll be honest, I hate plot points like this, where someone hears something about their friend or significant others, and they just listen to the rumors rather than trying to clear things up. Look, people really shouldn't pay attention to vague rumors that they hear, especially not when you're a teenager. Teenagers are mean. They just make stuff up. So Tia goes to a cabin in the woods, which was in the first book, and she brings her violin along because she thinks that she can play a song to transport herself to Under.
This is not about music!
Which sounds stupid, but it does work, so I guess it wasn't stupid. And when she's there, she sees a bunch of dead flowers that she used to smell in Under. But Hayden appears, and he tells her, hey, those aren't flowers, those are human souls, and you've been feeding on them. And that's actually why people around town have been getting sick, because Tia's been eating their souls. It's actually not a bad twist. Like, it makes total logical sense, and it did catch me off guard when I read it. So, like, okay, I'll give this book 1 point. That's a pretty good plot twist. Hayden also tells her that he's building an army in Under, like he's gathering up allies and he's plotting a coup against his mother. This comes out of nowhere. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, I'm just saying it comes out of nowhere, and I kind of wish we had gotten to see him do this a bit, but okay, sure. And so all of them gather up in the cabin to come up with a plan to try and save Tia, try and save her dad, and to defeat Mara. So everyone there is Varney, Hayden, Tia, Donnie, Amelia, and Mike, the girl that Amelia has a crush on. However, Mike is actually the one that's been putting notes in Tia's bag and stuff because he believes that Mara is a good human queen and that Hayden's dad was the demon. And Mara convinced him to try and kill Hayden because, I don't know, she just convinced him Hayden's the one behind everything. So Mike throws a vial at the floor and the room fills with fog, and Tia wakes up at home and she doesn't remember anything about the cabin. It is now her 17th birthday, which she thinks is weird because she thinks, wait, didn't I turn 17 several months ago? She's gone back in time and she vaguely remembers some of the events of the books. You know, she vaguely remembers some stuff about Hayden and demons and stuff, but she didn't actually go back in time. She's experiencing some sort of illusion. And pretty quickly, Mara appears and she confirms that it's an illusion. She modified everyone's memories with that magical fog. She wants Hayden to forget all about Tia so that she can stamp out his humanity and then he can inherit her kingdom. Like I said, isn't she supposed to be immortal? Whatever. But Tia very forcefully says that she's not going to accept the illusion. She let go of me and crossed her arms. I don't understand what he sees in you. You're worse than boring. You're milquetoast. Hey! That got weirdly meta, because Mara has the exact same complaint about this protagonist from this crappy book that I have about protagonists from a lot of crappy books of this type. Seriously, what personality does Tia have? I can't think of a way to describe her. So the illusion ends, but now Tia has to watch her friends experience their worst fears inside a magical snow globe. Like, yeah, she just has a magic snow globe and she looks at it and she sees her friends experiencing their own worst fears because they're also experiencing illusions. Because all of them have been pulled into Under by the magical fog, and now they're all just in Mara's castle. Now, you may be wondering how transport between the realms works. Don't worry about it. So Donnie's nightmare is that she's pregnant and her boyfriend is a skeleton. And it's weird that she's pregnant because even though she sleeps around a lot like a filthy trollop, she always uses protection. But then Varney finds them very quickly and rescues them, and now that part of the book is over. Then we go to Amelia's nightmare, which is a lot more interesting. And honestly, I feel like Amelia should just be the protagonist of a completely different book series, because her story is 10 times more interesting than Tia's. Basically, a couple of years ago, when she was around 13, she tried to cast some sort of spell to find love or something, and then she actually met Mara, and she thought that Mara was an angel, so she made a deal with her to always, find love, but that didn't work out the way she intended it to, and now she's just in love with Mike. Mara's magical influence makes her be in love with Mike forever. And that's actually why Amelia's magic/psychic powers were so strong, is because she has part of Mara's soul inside her, so she's actually drawing off of Mara's power. And I don't know, the magic in these books isn't explained all that well, but that sort of makes sense, and I kind of liked that. Again, Amelia should just be the protagonist of a completely different book. But anyways, Varney explains all this to her, and then he actually reaches into her soul and he pulls the spell that Mara put there out of her soul, so she's no longer in love with Mike, because he can do that, apparently. And also, it turns out that Varney has been in love with Amelia for a while. Oh, okay. And also, after this, we find out that Varney is actually dead. Yeah, he died off-screen fighting a troll, because trolls exist now, but he stuck around as a ghost long enough to say goodbye to Amelia? Okay, and also ghosts can still do magic now, even though Hayden was an incorporeal being without a body, and no one could even see him or hear him, but apparently it's different with Varney? Okay, so Amelia and Varney say goodbye, and then Varney disappears. He passes on to the afterlife, whatever that consists of. And so everyone except Tia reunites, and they run through the castle. Hayden appears and battles some creatures. This is all barely described. Like, what do the creatures look like? How does the fight go? Don't worry about it. Things are just sort of happening. Hayden refers to some of the creatures as goblins, and it implies that he's actually spent a lot of time fighting them before, because just Hayden is a warrior now. That's never been brought up or even referenced before, but like he's a warrior now, which might have made for an interesting backstory or something, but okay. So Tia is captured, and Mara is about to cut her apart and turn her into a minion, but Tia escapes from her bonds, and then she picks up a scalpel and gives a dramatic speech about how love is stronger than fear. Then her friends appear, and all together they start chanting a spell, which they know somehow, and while they're doing that, Tia realizes that she can feed on Mara's soul, which is weird because demons don't have souls. Like, later on, they justify it by saying that Mara has some sort of equivalent to a soul, which is not exactly the same thing, but it's just something demons have, which is kind of similar to it. And Tia was only able to absorb it because of the blood bond infection thing. Like, sure, fuck it. I guess there is a thread of logic to that. The magic in these books is never really explained. Fuck it. So Tia absorbs all of Mara's power, and that sends her into some sort of coma. She's not dead, she's just in some sort of weird magical coma. And now, because she has that power, Tia is recognized as Queen of Under by all the demons. And now she can have sex with Hayden without him being corrupted. All she had to do was turn into his mom first. Again, what's with the pseudo-incest, man? So Tia decides that she's going to be the new Queen of Nightmares, because that's what Mara did. She, like, gave nightmares to all of humanity. Anytime someone had a nightmare, that was Mara giving it to them. Tia decides she's going to be Queen of Nightmares now, and her dad, he was comatose in the real world, and he was also being held in Under, where he was being tortured, and now he's no longer being tortured, but he's catatonic, like his soul is just sitting in the castle, staring off into space and never talking or anything, so his body on Earth is presumably still in a coma, and Tia resolves to find a way to cure him. Mike also realizes that he was tricked by Mara, and what he did was bad, and he feels bad, and the characters all start traveling back and forth between Under and Earth, I think. I don't know, the book just ends with a scene where it implies that Tia and Hayden are about to have sex, and then that's it, that's how it ends.
What the hell was that?
In some ways, these books feel like they were supposed to be a trilogy, but even if it does feel kind of unfinished, I liked these books. You know, I liked this book series. Like, sure, it was dumb and it didn't always make sense, but it was dumb in a very specific and fun way. Like, it wasn't boring. I think the author understood that, yeah, this is just a paranormal romance for teenagers, and she didn't try to make it anything else. Like, I appreciate the self-awareness, if nothing else. And the weird silly bits, whether they were deliberately silly or unintentionally silly, were a lot of fun. Like, I didn't even mention the part where Tia never bothers explaining why she vanished for a couple of weeks. Like, her dad and everyone at school and everything just sort of let her back into things and never question where she went. And what happened during that about a year-long period that Tia was stuck in Under doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Things just happened. And there's virginity as a plot point, which is promptly forgotten until the last couple of chapters. And Tia needs to feel like an outcast, so how do we make her an outcast? Fuck it, she's English. Which, granted, if the story wasn't set in California, that might have worked. Like, if the story was set in France or Ireland, maybe, I could see her being English as, like, an obstacle to making friends. But, you know, culturally, those are very different places than California. I don't know, I don't have a whole lot else to say. I had fun reading Falling Under, and I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I got to share it with the rest of you. That's all. Have a lovely day. Goodbye. Ahoy! Thank you for watching this far. If you didn't watch this far, but you still wound up here somehow, then I still appreciate you. You're great. All these names you see here, these are my patrons. You can go over to Patreon and pay $1 a month or more if you feel like it. Get access to stuff like one exclusive video every month, early access to videos, things of that nature. My $10 and up patrons are Arthur D. Gonzalez Martin, Brother Santodes, Carolina Klee, Lexi Delorme, Lord Tiebreaker, Michael and Katie Hake, Mr. A5013, Proscriptions of Dwojang, Psych XX, Slumbering Jellyfish, Observing Outer Space, Tesla Shark, Toa Michael, Vevictus, and Wesley, as well as all the other names here. I appreciate all their support. Also appreciate all of my people over on YouTube who are channel members. Yeah, you can become a channel member and get most of the same bonuses that you get from Patreon. You just don't get your names here. And you know what? Everybody who just watches my stuff, you're all great. I couldn't do this without you. Please rate this video, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Check out my merchandise, which you can go down below and look at. And, you know, all that other stuff I'm supposed to say here. Have a lovely day, and goodbye.